Welcome to the YouTube channel for APsprayarts. Hey guys, if you can like this video, subscribe to my channel, I'd really appreciate it. Let's get into it. So if you go on TikTok or even YouTube and you follow somebody named Amethyst Vasquez, you're going to recognize this painting that I do here. She did a tutorial of it on how to make good forest painting, and I ran with it, only threw in my own flair of some northern lights. Speaking of which, here I go, from some fluorescent green, throwing in, using a curved poster board piece and putting in northern lights. She does have a video that she does northern lights on her own forest one, but I did mine before that, and hers are probably still better than mine. But I enjoy this painting and this way of doing forest things, so yeah. Basically, I'm saying Amethyst did the forest first. She's a great artist, and following her is a great idea if you want to do this. She does do tutorials over on TikTok almost every weekend, I think. And yeah, if you could follow her along and figure out how to do some great paintings, you'll be on your way. I do believe after she does the tutorials, she also puts them on YouTube, so you can watch them through later on and get some of the bits and pieces that you missed. She's kind of like Bob Ross, but with an attitude, which is cool and comforting in a weird way. So the tree's there. It's using a sponge, just kind of the corner of it, and making the forest, and then I came underneath to make it all kinds of black. The sponges I was using are not great. They're kind of like kitchen sponges. They're not the right kind of thing I needed. Here I use a heat gun to dry the paint. Highly recommend a heat gun. If you can't do that, a hair dryer works just as great. I don't necessarily recommend using fire to dry the paint, just because of the hazard. I have a story of how my hand caught on fire once. Yeah. So you mist it over with white, kind of like there's a fog going on, and then dry that before you do the next one. If you don't dry it, you're going to get your black paint is going to look gray, and that's not a great thing. One thing you never see in different artists' spray paint videos really is the drying time. A lot of times you got to leave your painting for 10-15 minutes before you can come back to it. Sometimes you see it in some artists, but for when you're doing a small video, you're just going to be staring at a painting waiting for it to dry. So one tip for many painters out there, if you're starting out, have a few paintings on the go. So while one painting is drying, you can go paint some of the other painting and then come back to the original one. So putting another layer of trees. So now that first layer is far in the background, and these ones are more middle ground area. Drying it again. If you're at all curious, what I'm using to put my paint on so then I can use my sponge is a lid from some sort of container. I'm a chef, so I get lots of lids from different kinds of containers, and I use those instead of using scrap poster board to hold my paint. Sometimes you get hairs in paint, especially when you have a whole lot of dogs, which we do because we were running a rescue once, and then we never really rehomed the dogs and kept them all, so we got dog hairs everywhere. So here I come with another layer of forest. So now you got 3 layers of forest going on. And as you get closer to the front, they get a little bit bigger and stretch out a little more. One thing I will say for people is to be careful with what I was doing. So if in case you notice, my trees tend to start to curve. So if anybody asks, there was some high winds that went through and the trees kind of leaned in one direction. And of course, you always want to make sure your trees are different heights and different widths and sizes. And here I'm just spray painting the bottom area to cover it up, using my hand to block the top. And then I spread that paint around a little bit with my sponge. If, when you're out and about, take a look around. If you like painting nature and trees and clouds and all that kind of stuff, make sure you're looking around, seeing what is out there, seeing the different kinds of trees, the different ways the evergreens go. Some curve down and some curve up. And some, like jack pines, are kind of rugged looking. But no tree is ever perfect, and trees are like snowflakes. They're not really going to be the same. They're going to be different sizes and everything. Is it weird that while I'm doing this voiceover, I notice saying Amethyst Vasquez put up a new video? It came up. So here I'm just trying to color in a little bit so that you can't really see through the line of trees. And I come in with some more fog. See that white bit that I'm just scraping up there? That's because I didn't shake my paint can enough. I'm going to say this over and over again in all my videos. Shake your paint cans. I don't really, because I'm kind of lazy. But you got to shake those paint cans, otherwise you are going to get the splotches all over the place. That's kind of my style, is getting splotches around. And I'm okay with that. So I'm trying to dry up that paint again so that I can put a final layer of trees down. And we're going to start up high and then work our way down. In case you're wondering, this is an 11 by 14 canvas. The sizes of paintings I do are usually 11 by 14 or 16 by 20. I do smaller ones, but those are usually my planet kind of ones when I do planets, which is rare. Or I will do big ones, but those are really special ones. And as far as what you paint on, I personally prefer the look of canvas, but it's a little harder to use and manipulate. And the colors just seem to pop a whole lot better on poster board. But I have now also started using foam board, which works well for trade shows and things, because if you're handing them a 16 by 20 poster board, it's all kind of floppy around. If you're handing them a canvas, it can be bulky. Foam board is sturdy enough that it's not going to flop around, but it also doesn't weigh much, so it doesn't take up much for that person to carry it around. So drying this up again. The front trees have to stay a little darker than the back trees, just because they're more up in your face. I will put a little bit of mist in there, but not too much. So after doing this technique the first time, this was my very first time doing the trees this way. I've used it a few times and you're going to see it. Another tip for trade show people is that paintings like this do sell very well at trade shows. Especially because it doesn't take long to do them and you can do it live right in front of people and they think it's amazing. And I put northern lights in the background, but you could also do planet, space, just a sky, clouds, whatever you want in there. Clear coat to make it shine. Siggy in the corner. And here we have northern lights behind the forest. So like, subscribe, see you next time.